What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Denver Sports Coffee Break, presented by Superbook Sports. Rachel Vihild, D-Mac. We've also got Will Peterson joining us here in just a second. D-Mac, how are you this morning?
It is weird out.
So weird, right?
So weird. And it's going to be weird, I guess, for a few more days.
I'm shocked. Everybody, I've been seeing like a bunch of different videos and people are like, I just moved to Colorado. Why did no one tell me that you get rain and you get hail? And I'm like, we maybe get it once a year. Like, this is not something that's reoccurring all the time. We see it all the time. Like, this is a weird stretch of a week where we're not going to see the sun for a while.
Sustained clouds, sustained rain. This is not Colorado. I don't know what the hell this is, but
Seattle, apparently.
I can't. It's very unusual. The tornado sort of bad weather, that's actually not unusual at all.
Yeah.
Usually it blows in and blows out, and to have it go on all night, to have it keep going on right now, it just it feels odd. It just feels odd.
I'm with you. I think it's odd too. So we'll see. I'm a little nervous. My backyard is starting to flood and I live on a slope. So it's all pulling at the very end. And then my sister's car actually got totaled from the hail. It's just crazy weather.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's different. So I guess we all just gotta hang in there.
There's nothing we can do.
It's like a snowstorm seems kind of fun. There's nothing like fun about this. There's a little adventure when we get dumped on with the snow. This is just, who needs this? I mean, is this what it's like to really live in Seattle? I mean, is it like this?
This is a little bit heavier rain. My friends who live in Seattle have always told me it's like a mist. So good morning to everybody in the comments. Lauren says we need the moisture in the Denver metro area. So I guess.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
We're getting it and then some. So you'll be thrilled.
It's true. All right. Well, we will bring in Will Peterson because we have the NFL schedule released tonight. The Trilogy with Peyton Manning will release at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm excited to finally find out what the schedule is going to look like. Although I was positive we were going to see Jets Monday Night Football week 1 here in Denver, and that is not happening, you guys.
Well, the truth is the Broncos just don't have that kind of cachet. And maybe we were
crazy to think about.
We were a little bit too arrogant because the Jets are opening up on Monday night, hosting the Bills. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah, I get that. That actually makes way more sense. That actually is, I understand it. And just for a pinch, I think we thought we were something we weren't. And we got a smackdown on reality. And I would assume our opening game is going to be somewhat benign and hardly a headliner.
Ouch, D-Mac. That's kind of a gut punch. Will Peterson, how are you this morning?
I'm good, guys. So I have an update from our guy, Mace. You can cross off the Jets, Bills, Chiefs, Lions, Packers, and Bears for the season opener. That's the Mace Research Department. He's doing a great job this morning getting all the various reports from around the country.
Okay.
So to D-Mac's point, those are some big games you can cross off. We'll get to our schedule predictions, I know, here in a few minutes. But, guys, I predicted the Broncos would open in Houston because I thought the NFL would give them the punishment of the most anonymous week 1 game ever. Like, hey, you guys screwed us over last year time and time again. Enjoy your 11 a.m. kickoff in Houston. I'm starting to think it's more and more likely Broncos at Texans week 1 on the number 4 team on CBS or Fox could be stink 11 a.m. kickoff.
That would be, without a doubt, the biggest you suck punishment of all. I have the advantage because I submitted my stuff late. Sorry, my bad.
He did.
So I knew the Jets weren't going to be the opener. So I changed it to the Bears as the opener. And that's not quite the Texans, but it's not that far away from the Texans either.
But the Bears are one that's been ruled out.
Why? Why are they ruled out?
I'm just telling you, I trust Andrew Mason. I trust his research. He says based on what he's seen around the country, Jets, Bills, Chiefs, Lions, Packers, Bears will not be the opener.
Okay. Well, it may be the Texans then. That might be spot on.
How embarrassing. How embarrassing. Here's the thing.
That's the lowest of the possible low to open on the road against the Texans. That would absolutely be the lowest profile game of opening weekends. No doubt
I think
about
I have them at like the very end of the schedule for me, but it would be the low. Here's my thing though. Yeah, they may suck. They're still relevant. You're still going to see everybody talking about Russell Wilson. I mean, I still see them talking about him on Good Morning Football. They're still relevant. So I'd be shocked if they got a game like that. Let me just put it that way.
Well, I mean, it's the middle of May. Good Morning Football is going to talk about everybody at some point. You know, it's kind of more like, what are the priorities? What do they really need or want to talk about? Not, you know, golly, what else do we have? You know, it's May. Anybody? Oh, Broncos? I mean, the most publicity the Broncos have had so far in the spring is Ted Lasso.
Have you guys seen Ted Lasso? I have not. I'm not a big TV show person. Everybody knows that in the comments. They yell at me, or I'm like not a big movie person either. But
I have seen Ted Lasso. Let me tell you about the scene without spoiling it. It's when Ted Lasso is talking about something in society, about acceptance. And his whole rap on the Broncos is how much it sucks to be a Broncos fan, but we accepted them anyways in Kansas City. That was the whole, I mean, there was a deeper sort of, I won't spoil it. But essentially, it wasn't like pro Broncos. It was like, I grew up in Kansas City, and to be a better person, I accepted the one loser who was still like a Broncos fan in my neighborhood. I mean, even on Ted Lasso, it's somewhat pathetic for the Broncos.
The only portion of the clip I saw is the soccer player going, "Who the bleep are Denver Broncos?" So that kind of cracked me up too, because Ted's going into this deep, long, like you said, D-Mac, no spoilers. It's actually a cool scene. It's a cool moment.
It is.
But, you know, at the same time, he's doing this analogy to his players that it's supposed to be all serious. And the guy goes, "Who the bleep are Denver Broncos?" So
okay, good to know. How many seasons of Ted Lasso are there? 3. Okay, so I'm really behind then. I need to catch up, apparently.
Give yourself some time, Rach. You start watching it at the end. I'm telling you. Give yourself
that good, time. Huh?
It's very well done. It's an excellent TV show.
You've seen Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, is Ted Lasso above or below?
Ted Lasso is above Game of Thrones in terms of story. Game of Thrones just became garbage in the last 2 seasons. Game of Thrones is an epic tale of production and storytelling. Yeah. I don't know if you could really, you know, compare one to another. Game of Thrones is about all the bad people in a mythical world. Ted Lasso is a very uplifting show about positivity and hope.
Okay, then let me give you another show. Yellowstone, Ted Lasso.
I think Ted Lasso is 10 million times better than Yellowstone. I had to give up on Yellowstone when they went out to the woods, the mountain somewhere. And they brought an old guy and he just died by a tree and nobody seemed to care. It was like, well, it was his time. It's like his time. They just cinched him back up on a horse and brought him to the widow back at the cookout like nothing went on. She took it like a champ. I'm like, what the hell is this show? No, Yellowstone jumped the shark. Like Sons of Anarchy makes more sense than Yellowstone at this point.
Weren't you in Yellowstone though, D-Mac?
I was but that happens. When TV shows go a little bit longer than they really are ever intended to go, that's exactly what happens.
Wait. You were in Yellowstone. Like
No. I'm sorry. I was D-Mac. I was in another TV show, a Western show, Clear something, or it was up in Wyoming. So the scene is they're up in Wyoming and there's a sports talk guy on the radio and it's me. Now they don't use my name, but they call him D Money. And he's talking about quarterbacks. And the writer of the show is a big Broncos fan. I forget the name, Clear Skies or something. I don't know. It's kind of like a Yellowstone sort of ripoff. But, you know, I'm heard on the radio. And then the guy's like, that D Money, he doesn't know anything. Like he takes a jab at me.
Wait, I'm like shook by this. This is
it's so cool, Rachel. We'll have to send you the video of the scene because it's like a cop walking into a gas station and listening to D Money, and D Money doesn't know what he's talking about, and it's just like like when I got sent the scene, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is D-Mac.
And then you said, oh, what a wild coincidence. But we dug into it, and the showrunner and the writer is from Denver and is a Broncos fan. So it's not a coincidence. It's definitely me.
This is incredible. I will be doing research on this.
What is the name of that
NFL
show?
schedule through Game 6 tonight. We're just going to go find D-Mac or D-Money on the internet. My goodness. That is incredible. That's incredible. Okay, well, let's get to our guesses for the schedule. And so obviously, I haven't had time to update it. We could totally cross out the Bears week 1 for D-Mac here. But as you can see, both Will has one game correct so far. That's week 11 Vikings that I've seen out there. So we'll see. I'm struggling. And then D-Mac was a cheater because he sent it early to me this morning after some had already leaked. So, but we'll see what happens, you guys. I'm really curious. I'm going to keep tracking this all day long, and we'll see. Maybe we throw up a little coffee bet of who will get the most correct, and they can get a coffee. Although, Will Peterson, you still owe me a coffee. Don't forget.
I do. Sorry. I also KJ and Drew lunch, so my debts are kind of stacking up around the station. I will say though, Rach, if you want to bring that up one more time, there's a funny thing in week 18 because we all have Chargers in week 18. Because guess what, guys? It feels like every single year the Broncos play the Chargers in week 18. So why would 2023 be any different?
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree.
Let me see here. Well, they always close with a lot of AFC West opponents.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I have Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers. I have the Jets there too because I cheated on that one. But the reason I have Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers is they do try to make things competitive within the division. And Rachel, you got Chiefs in there. And Will, you don't. So Will's definitely going to be more wrong because there's definitely going to be at least one more AFC West team in the final 4 games.
I have Chiefs in week 17, D-Mac. Rachel just put a big old X through it.
Oh, why did you put an X through it, Rach?
Because they already have figured out who they're playing week 17. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, who?
I think that's Cincinnati because it's Chiefs-Bengals, the big New Year's game.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't going to be Chiefs.
So it's not like D-Mac, they figured out the Broncos because the Broncos are so irrelevant that we're figuring out who everyone else is playing. Right. That's why we know the Broncos don't play them. We don't know squat about who the Broncos play except the blogger in Minnesota says Vikings, although his report is Sunday Night Football, which is kind of interesting. Minnesota, Denver, Sunday Night Football? Okay, that's a curious one. But Rachel and I both were hopeful for the Lions Thanksgiving thing. That's going to be Lions Packers. No Broncos on Thanksgiving. I think, guys, this is going to be a lot of 11-2 on Sunday. This schedule is going to come out and it's going to be 2 o'clock Sunday, 2 o'clock Sunday, 11 o'clock Sunday, 2 o'clock Sunday, 11 o'clock Sunday. Not a lot of excitement.
How many primetime games are you guys thinking?
3.
Ooh, I was going 2.
I had 3, but I was listening to the Zoakley show, and they made a good point. You're no longer guaranteed a Thursday night game. That was part of the Bezos deal of we can play some teams twice on Thursday night, and some teams may get 0. Mm-hmm. So without getting Thanksgiving, we know the Vikings Sunday night, but Rachel, I'm leaning towards you. I think it's probably 2.
Well, we'll see. And of course, like I said, I'm going to keep updating this schedule here. We'll see how many are correct. If you would like to send over your schedule guesses to us, tag us on Twitter, and I can keep track too. And of course, tonight, the Peyton Trilogy will continue. I love that Peyton Manning is still so connected, but I love that he brings his humor to the organization and, and continues to do these types of videos. Like even the little teaser they did, he's so good at acting, you guys. We're so lucky to have him be a part of it.
Yeah, this schedule release thing has become such a big deal in the NFL with in-house. So there's a lot of pressure on all the folks actually to make such a big deal of it. I really don't know why this has kind of exploded like it has, but it definitely has. I think it's another just great way the NFL keeps us talking about the NFL basically 12 months a year.
Yeah, but the one thing I'll say, guys, what would be more fun than Peyton Manning doing social media schedule videos? Would be Peyton Manning owning a piece of the Broncos. Peyton Manning being the Broncos president of football operations. Like, I love Peyton Manning, and I love that he's still involved, Rachel. I totally see what you're saying, but he's far too brilliant of a mind to be wasting him on the Manning trilogy that the Broncos have plugged 237 times.
Yeah, but Will, I'd be careful on that. When I saw Manning with Greg Penner and Sean Payton at the Avs Kraken Game 7, it was a reminder up in Stan Kroenke's box, not being Sean's playing hockey on the glass like Penner was. It's this.
Right.
If that's a puck, that's a stick. That's real ice, Greg. That's real ice. I think Peyton is actually involved with the Broncos. I think he has the ear of Greg Penner. I think he's actually quite a quiet consigliere. I think he is advising the Broncos. I think he's involved with them, just not in an official capacity.
Okay, well, it's always interesting, but one way or another, we're all happy to see P. Manning. Let's get into an article that James Marilat had actually written, though, and it was about the wide receiver room and how the Broncos have the second most expensive wide receiver room. And of course, we have not seen the production out of any of them. When you guys saw this number, the $43.7 million, were you at all surprised, or because we know of the Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton numbers, were you like, it was just to be expected, and it's unfortunate that we didn't see the production out of them? Well,
yeah, it's the George Payton special, right? I mean, he's made so many bad moves as GM that the contracts to Cortland and Tim get kind of swept under the rug. And then you see a number like this, and you're like, wait, they're paying that much money to wide receivers, and they caught how many touchdowns last year? Like 9, 10?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's ridiculous. George Payton is so lucky to still have a gig, and that's nothing personal, I promise. But it just, you go down his bad moves with Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick and Randy Gregory and Nathaniel Hackett, and trading for Russell Wilson and extending Russell Wilson and Nick Bonito, and the list goes on of like, George Payton is still running this football team. Again, because it happened 2 years ago, it's forgotten. But we still remember that he gave Sutton and Patrick monster deals in a span of what, like 2 weeks?
Literally.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, I figured, it didn't surprise me because of the deals they did with Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. And no, I'm not surprised by it at all. George Payton has yikes. I mean, yeesh. What else can you say? And Will's right. So this gets kind of hidden because, you're trying to dig out from all sorts of other stuff, including the epically bad, Russell Wilson contract. Yeah, we'll see. It looks epically bad now. They got a year to figure out how bad it really was. And then the Randy Gregory situation is another like, boy, oh boy, what were you thinking? So the wide receiver stuff gets kind of left in the past. Now, something that's interesting that I'd want to run by you guys about receivers. Does Russell Wilson view Tim Patrick as his number one receiver? Is that why he invited Tim Patrick to the Nuggets game the other night?
You think he invited him? You don't just think it was like, hey, you want to go? Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, what's the difference between that and inviting somebody?
One pays for their own ticket too. It's not like, hey, I'm going to buy you a ticket and you get to come hang out.
I would say, well, all right, you're getting into weird semantics territory. I have no idea if Timmy Pats chipped in for his ticket. Maybe he did, but I know Russell Wilson got the tickets, and either he offered a free ticket to Tim Patrick or he gave Tim Patrick a chance to buy the ticket. But the invite, one way or the other, came from Russell Wilson.
So you just know that Russell Wilson got the tickets?
Yes.
The only thing I would caution, it's May 10th, May 9th?
Yeah.
A lot of dudes ain't in town. So Russ may have, texted Jerry Jeudy, hey man, I'm home in Alabama or Texas. I can't remember where Jerry's from. Texted Cortland Sutton, hey man, I'm out in California, whatever. Tim Patrick may have been the third guy to get the text. So I don't know if we can say Tim Patrick's the number one receiver just because he's the dude that said yes.
Fair enough.
We do know, though, that Sean Payton and I know this was reported too, but Sean Payton and Russell Wilson definitely did not come together because I watched Sean leave completely by himself with his wife, and then I watched Russell eventually leave too. So they definitely did not come together, which is
they did not. It was just a not crazy because if you want the best seats in the house, they both know the same people to get the best seats in the house. There are 4 of them that are owner seats, and whether they're given to them or they have to buy them, I'm not sure. I mean, it could go either way. But those are the best, those are owner seats. Like, you have to know somebody to be able to get those seats. And it looks like, Sean needed 2 and Russell took the other 2. And I don't know how far in advance they knew each other was going to the game, but they did not make that arrangement at the same time. So it's kind of a crazy coincidence. And it's
Weird.
one of the reasons why Sean Payton just didn't simply sit next to Russell Wilson. That's why Skylene, his wife, was sitting next to him, and he was talking over her lap the entire time because he really wasn't there with Russell Wilson. He was there with his wife. He just couldn't shut up talking to Tim Patrick and Russell Wilson.
Are those the Peyton Manning, Brandon Stokely seats, D-Mac?
Yes.
It depends.
Yes.
Peyton's gotten some interesting tickets over the years in a variety of different places because he's a part owner with his wife of the Memphis Grizzlies. So sometimes he's been more over on the Grizzlies side. But Peyton's also sat like in the 3rd, 4th row too. He hasn't always sat right on the floor, not always.
No, but I think Rachel knows what I'm talking about. It was the playoff game last year.
Yeah,
You
look
look good there. Yeah.
Those would be yes. Those would be. Listen, the owners have 4 seats. They have 4 owner seats right at center court. It gets slightly shifted down when TNT's there because they set up their broadcast crew on the other side. For games without TNT, the broadcast crew is on the other side, and those are just seats. So things get taken away a little bit when TNT comes to town.
Do either of you remember how much Cortland Sutton's going to be taking away from the cap space this year?
14, maybe.
I was going to say 16. Yeah, is it 14?
Yep.
I'm taking a guess.
18. Tim Patrick is 11. Jerry Jeudy 4. KJ Hamler 2. Obviously, then the list just down.
That's crazy for your 4th best receiver.
Yep. Isn't that insane though? When you actually look at those numbers, you're like, holy smoke. So I thought it would be kind of fun and I saw one of the comments that was like, George Payton was supposed to know that they would tear their ACLs. No, okay. Obviously not. But Cortland Sutton had a full year. He came back. He didn't produce like he was supposed to be wide receiver number 1. I think we can all agree on that, correct?
Cortland Sutton also got paid after he tore his ACL. So
yeah, wasn't it the year after? And then obviously
there you go, commenter. Yeah. He didn't know Tim Patrick was going to tear it, but he did know Cortland Sutton was going to tear it because he paid him after when he lost all of his explosiveness.
And Cortland, it was 2021, that 2021 season that he got his extension, correct? Yes.
Yeah, and he tore it in 2020, the COVID year in Pittsburgh.
The deal was insane. I'll never forget it because they signed Patrick. I'm like, oh wow, big move. They're gonna, screw over they're gonna screw over Cortland Sutton. And like 12 hours later, they signed Sutton to a huge deal too. And I'm telling you, listen, man, when you spend big money on 2 different wide receivers, those guys better be superstars, man. And I don't know what Jalen Waddle's deal is, but those are 2 real superstars in Miami. Waddle and Tyreek Hill, okay? Those are honest to goodness, both superstars. But what does Waddle make? And I don't even know. I mean, Tyreek Hill obviously does incredible.
We're going to play a game here and find out.
We are going to. Okay, just to answer your question, Jalen Waddle, his cap space hit this year will be $7,387,000.
Wow.
And then I
Cortland Sutton's making 18 and Waddle's making 7?
Right. Isn't that crazy?
And then you'd have to look up Tyreek Hill, and he probably is in the 20s somewhere. So, I mean, what combination of receivers would you rather have? Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick or Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill? I mean, give me a break.
All right. Well, let's play the game. Higher or lower wide receiver contracts. All right. Tell me, we'll just do Tyreek Hill. Higher or lower than Cortland Sutton?
It's got to be higher.
Well,
lower just because I'm in a bad mood.
$12,823,000.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, different contracts, some of the top receivers are technically like Jamar Chase. He's still on his rookie contract, which is crazy to even think about.
Yeah, you get into a little tricky business because what was Tyreek Hill's signing bonus with the Dolphins? What is his true value? What does he get per year for his contract? That sort of stuff. Yeah,
but it is just interesting to see the overall number, and then it just seems like more and more we're like, oh, well, George Payton is clearly overpaying anyone that he gets. But
so wait, what is the number? What is the number for Cortland Sutton?
What do you mean?
Well,
it's $18,266,000.
I'm sorry, what?
$18,266,000
on the cap.
Yep.
So this year, Tyreek Hill's only costing 12 on the cap to the Dolphins.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Let's do Stephon Diggs.
Well, I'll say under to everybody now. I'll say under.
Sure, lower.
Okay, correct. Stephon Diggs is $14,875.
Okay.
So Stephon Diggs, obviously incredible. DeAndre Hopkins.
Under. Everybody's got to be under at this point.
Under.
DeAndre Hopkins is the number 1 wide receiver. Guess what his cap hit is going to be this year?
$3 million.
Well, if he's number 1, I'll say $20 million.
What did you say? I'm sorry, Doug? Or not Doug, Will?
Doug
is a guy we play video games with, and so I'm so used to being like, what did you say, Doug?
Well, we're all friends with Doug Otwell, the editor of the magazine of Mile High Sports, but we don't have a Doug on staff at Denver Sports. I said $20 million because you said he's number 1.
$29,988,000. That is why the Cardinals are number 1 to win their wide receiver room. That number is outrageous.
That's crazy. That's stupid. That's just a waste of money.
No wonder they want to trade him.
But there are 5 wide receivers that are above Cortland Sutton. 5. DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, and DJ Moore are all above. They're all $20 million or more.
All right. I can't believe Cortland Sutton's even in a list with those guys. It was a bad deal. And now we're paying for it. And at the end of the day, you just got to play the best receivers, and he's the 4th best receiver you're going to have. He is. I guess KJ Hamler's out. I'm assuming, because they drafted Mims. So maybe he's the 3rd best receiver you have, because maybe Mims will take a little time to get going. But still, Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy are both better options than Cortland Sutton, assuming Tim Patrick's going to come back healthy.
Yeah.
Is there any world, Will, that Cortland can be number 1, or have we seen the high for Cortland?
No, they should have traded him to Baltimore when they had the chance before Baltimore signed Odell Beckham Jr. Apparently they were interested. The Broncos should have gotten that done, gotten out from under this contract. Rachel, you just said he's 6th in the NFL in terms of cap hit this year. I'm not sure he's a top 6D receiver in the league, yet he's making the 6th most money against the cap. Again, I don't want to just randomly pick on George Payton on a Thursday, but this is like the 6th worst move of George Payton's tenure, yet Greg Penner is still – I know Greg Penner wasn't here for all of them. He didn't own the team when that contract got dished out, but Greg Penner is still comfortable with George Payton on his staff. We all know George Payton's not running the show. Trading up in the draft was evidence enough that he's not running the show. But how can Greg Penner not look at these 7 or 8 disastrous moves and think it's still a good idea to have George Payton, the number 3 decision maker on his football team? That doesn't make any sense to me.
D-Mac, I have no answers. I've said George Payton is problem number 1 for quite a while now, so I can't defend him either. And again, it's nothing personal. It's just you see these mistakes, and it's like time after time again. Now they're going to be in trouble if they have to pay another big star in the next few years that they need to keep, and we know that the depth is already bad. D-Mac?
It's a tough place, and it goes to show the depth for the team is rough, and they're trying to buy themselves out of other pickles, and this is kind of one of them. But that being said, all that being said, I think Tim Patrick, knock on wood, comes back healthy is fantastic. I think Jerry Jeudy's the best player on the team. This Mims guy looks to be fantastic from what I've seen. They've got little Jordan Humphrey and Callaway, and, they've got some other guys too. I'm really not concerned about this. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think they have talented guys where they need to have talented guys. I think the problem the Broncos have with what George Payton has done is he's cost them depth because he's spent money in an ill fashion and it's sacrificed a lot of draft picks too, because you've had to give up draft picks to make up for bad other deals. So I think the Broncos are probably as good as they could possibly be because they have rich owners and they had no problem spending big money with large signing bonuses for free agency. And the rest of it kind of gets manipulated and spread over years. So I think the key for the Broncos this year, not unlike a lot of teams, is they've got to stay healthy in their core positions. If they do so, and Russ is just held under control a little bit, I think they could find themselves to win 9 or 10 games. I do. I think they could do that. But if they get some serious injuries, there's just not a lot of depth there, and that could really sink the ship.
Will DMAC has said that the Broncos will never win a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson. Do you believe that to be true as well?
Yeah, I mean, even if I put on my orange and blue glasses, it's hard to envision that after the 5-12 we saw last year. I mean, guys, if Russell Wilson hoists Lombardi in a Broncos uniform, then Nathaniel Hackett shouldn't be coaching Pee Wee football. I mean, honestly, if that image ever happens, Nathaniel Hackett is the most incompetent football coach in the history of America. Because to go from 5-12 to hoisting Lombardi means that Hackett was so bad that he almost single-handedly derailed Russell Wilson's career, and then Russ got right back on track once that guy was gone. So, man, if they do, it's a huge indictment of Hackett. But no, I think you'd have to be the all-time Broncos homer to see what you saw last year and think it can go from 5-12 to Super Bowl.
The problem with the whole winning the Super Bowl thing is every year Peyton Manning was here, you could say, hey, can Peyton Manning beat Tom Brady? Sure. Could Peyton Manning beat Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, but Mahomes was a rookie just getting in the league. Could Peyton Manning beat any quarterback in the NFL, even at his age? And the answer was yes, yes, and yes, always. And this is where you have a really hard time in the AFC. I think it would be easier to envision Russell Wilson winning a Super Bowl coming from the NFC. The NFC is kind of a hodgepodge of veterans and other sort of guys. The AFC is just loaded with younger, athletic, and getting more experienced quarterbacks. I mean, it's just one after another. It's like, it's not just can you beat Patrick Mahomes? Are you better than Josh Allen? Are you better than Trevor Lawrence? Are you better than Joe Burrow? Are you better than Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh? You know, I mean, it's going to be questions like that for the next 3 or 4 years. Those are hard questions to answer. If you want to say, is Russell Wilson better than Daniel Jones? I mean, okay, we could have that argument. Is he better than Jordan Love? Yeah, all right, let's talk about it. Even is he better than Jalen Hurts? I could see that as a reasonable conversation, okay? It's probably going to lean towards Hurts, but you could at least have the conversation. Is he better than Geno Smith? You know, is he better than Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, you can have these debates. Is he better than Lamar Jackson? Is he better than Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes? These are really hard, tough conversations to have. And then the one old fart they put in the AFC is the guy we wanted in the first place, Aaron Rodgers. And look what the NFL has just told us. Look what they've just told us by featuring Rodgers against the Bills, not Russell Wilson, on Monday Night Football to start the year.
True. Well, speaking of our schedules, our friend Andrew Mason has a few more rumors that are obviously swirling. So we'll go ahead and take a look. Week 2, they are saying Washington. So all 3 of us would be wrong. Week 6. Let's see, week 6. Oh, none of us are correct. It would be Kansas City on Thursday night in Arrowhead.
Whoa.
Then,
hold on. That's a big one.
It is a big one.
Kansas City, Arrowhead, Thursday Night Football. Okay. That does a little more for me than the Commanders week 2. That's an interesting one for sure.
Yep. Detroit on week 15. Let's see. Did any of us get that right? No, we did not. And then New England at home on Christmas Eve, week 16. Oh, I was close. I said Patriots week 17, but we're finding out a little bit more. Of course, these are all rumors until we actually get the schedule drop later this evening. But that one, the Chiefs one's definitely interesting because there could be one primetime game for sure right there.
All right. It's a Thursday night game, though. Let's not go crazy here. But, all right.
I like Thursday night games. It's nice to be able to watch a full slate of football on Sunday, you guys.
Well, and I like the fact, what do you need to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead? You need something kind of wonky. You know what's kind of wonky? Both teams only having 4 days rest. So if this comes to fruition and it's a Thursday night in Arrowhead, relatively early in the season, I believe you said week 6, Rachel, feels like they always play an Arrowhead in December, right? So I think this is actually really good news as D-Mac disappears on us. He's back now. I think this is really good news, guys. We always say, how can you beat the Chiefs? Well, you're not winning in Arrowhead in December, and you're not winning with a week off. So if both teams only have 4 days rest, and it's in the middle of October, I think it's kind of the best draw possible of when you're going to Arrowhead. Like I said, this one, if it's true, is certainly the biggest one we know so far.
Yeah, and let's hope the Chiefs have some sort of, important game for them the week before,
right?
And you get them a little distracted. And I guess that's the best hope that you have.
Sure. All right, we'll see. Rockies, they're red hot, you guys. Surprisingly enough, actually one more Bronco related topic we do need to talk about. And this is the Broncos released outside linebacker Jake Martins. He was obviously a hometown kid, but what's interesting is he still has $1 million fully guaranteed. Now, May says this was not surprising whatsoever, did a great article. Are you both surprising? Will, I know we're in a group chat together, and you said, I don't know if the word surprising is what I want to use, but because of the money, it's very interesting.
Well, they got $3.82 million in cap space out of it. So the more I dug into it, the more it feels like Sean Payton doesn't just release guys for the sake of releasing them. This is plan A, and then something soon is going to be plan B because they needed the $3.82 million. He didn't just cut this cat for the sake of cutting him. He would have made training camp. He could have made the Broncos. I think Sean Payton needed the money, and I think something else is coming. Could that be a Kareem Hunt? I don't know. But I wouldn't hate it if releasing Jacob Martin returns into Kareem Hunt. I think this is part one, and a part two will be following shortly.
Hold on, D-Mac. Are you on the Kareem Hunt train, Will Peterson?
Absolutely. They're so thin at running back. We don't know anything about Javonte Williams' health. Samaje Perine hasn't had more than 90 carries since his rookie year. Like, you need another established veteran running back in here. Kareem Hunt, some people thought he'd be gone in the first week of free agency. It's May 11th. He's still available. Get it done.
They're all still
again, veteran running backs they fall off the turnip truck. It's just not that big of a deal. And there's a lot of big names that are just too old to play running back effectively in the NFL, and it goes quickly, unfortunately, for these guys. I mean, it goes. It feels like they're the best guy in the league, and then they're out of the NFL 2 years later. And I think Kareem Hunt's one of these guys. I really don't care about Kareem Hunt. I would choose to go into a different direction for football and for other reasons as well. I don't think you need to do it. I think it's kind of a desperate move. There's a lot of other options besides Kareem Hunt. And even if names just don't pop to mind right now, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, big name, we got to have them sort of deal when it comes to running back. It's a running back, guys. I mean, you can find guys who are undrafted who would probably be just as effective as Kareem Hunt is now. These running backs' careers, guys, I'm telling you, they fall off a cliff like nobody can believe. So I don't think it's a big deal whatsoever. The replacement for Jacob Martin may be Jacob Martin. He may just come back on a different deal. I mean, who knows? So I don't think it sets up anything necessarily for Kareem Hunt.
Will, so it's interesting because D-Mac, was it Monday, D-Mac, that we had this conversation about I don't even, who was it, D-Mac? I can't remember now. They got 1.3 million cap space, and everybody was like, Kareem Hunt, Kareem Hunt, Kareem Hunt. Like, I was just shocked and like mind blown by the amount of comments that everybody was saying, bring in Kareem Hunt, bring in Kareem Hunt. When it had been like rumored and like slightly talked about, but just the fact that everybody had like dove into it was really surprising to me.
Yeah, because people get star crazed, when it comes to sports, and if it's a name, all of a sudden it's a better possibility than somebody else. And I mean, sometimes it is, but in running backs, I just don't believe that when it comes to running backs.
Well,
Well, I'm not sitting here advocating for Ezekiel Elliott, right? Like, he's a big name. I get it. But I'm with GMAC on a guy like Zeke. Zeke's out of gas. We saw that. Tony Pollard replaced Zeke down in Dallas. But Zeke's got a lot more wear on those tires than Kareem Hunt does. Kareem Hunt was backing up Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt didn't get a ton of carries last year. They didn't run him into the ground in Kansas City and Cleveland like they did Zeke in Dallas. So I see your point on the big name, but I'm not just starstruck by, I want a big name. I want Zeke Elliott. I want Kareem Hunt. I don't want anything to do with Zeke Elliott, but Kareem Hunt, I do.
All right. Well, listen, if you want him and he costs you very little money, then whatever. But to me, it's just a whatever move, So trust me, there'll be 2 or 3 guys. There'll be 2 or 3 guys this weekend at the rookie mini camp that will all be like, oh my God, did you see blah, 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 blah. I mean, it happens. It happens every single year in the NFL. There's always one like small underachieving wide receiver that everybody goes like, wow. It doesn't have to be small. It's just like a lesser known guy. Remember Sunshine? What's his face with the hair? Jordan Taylor was Peyton Manning's best friend. We fell in love with him. I can't keep track of how many running backs we have fallen in love with during training camp and mini camps over the years, guys. I mean, it's ridiculous. We loved Latavius Murray. We didn't pick him up until he had to go back to England twice in the middle of the season last year. And he was so great, they just let him go to the Bills. It's running backs, guys. It's running backs. That's it. There's only one running back. There's only one that they absolutely positively cannot have back on this team. Only one.
Melvin Gordon.
That's right.
Exactly. D-Mac, you say we all fall in love with running backs. What about the Rockies? Because they're on a little bit of a hot streak, and we've got to admit, it's nice to see 8 out of the last 10, and they beat the Pirates yesterday. When we were doing coffee break, they're like, oh my gosh, they're losing. I'm so shocked. And they pull out a win. We don't talk very positively about the Rockies very often.
I cannot even believe this. For Mother's Day, I'm thinking about taking my wife to a Rockies game as something fun to do. So
it's supposed to be nicer on Sunday because don't take her in the cold.
Well, I would. Here's how I do Rockies games. I've come to terms with it. Okay, trust me. I've been going to. This will be my 24th year going to Rockies games. Okay, I figured it out. I only go and pay for maybe 2 or 3 games a year. That's it. That's all I do, and that's a lot. But that's it. So when we go now, forget it. I always buy club level seats. The end, because you can go inside if you need. The vantage point is fantastic. I don't have to look through a screen. I don't have to worry about getting smashed by a ball. And yes, foo, she. I can go buy a lobster roll in the club level if I want to and overpay for it. So on the 2 or 3 games that I go, I don't, I spend a couple of dollars and I have a good time when I go. So whether it's cold or not doesn't bother me because I know where I'm going to sit if I go to a Rockies game. I just spend the extra money and I just do it, the end. And I don't want to hear any criticism because I have sat in every damn seat in that entire building in every conceivable weather condition over the course of 24 years. So leave me alone. I just do what I do.
No judgment from me. You're only going to find me at one place down there at Coors Field, and that's the party deck because that's the only time you're going to get me to go to a Rockies game. So no judgment here, Will Peterson. What about you?
Well, D-Mac, can I be a total buzzkill? There's about
they don't play Sunday.
There's about an 80% chance you're going to need to be at Ball Arena on Sunday because it's either Nuggets Suns game 7 or they could close them out tonight. The Lakers could close out the Warriors Friday night, and the NBA has put it out there that they could move game 1 of the Western Conference Finals up to Sunday as well. So the only way there's not a game Sunday at Ball Arena is if the Nuggets win tonight and the Warriors win tomorrow night, because that means Lakers-Warriors game 7 will be Sunday. The Nuggets will be sit back and waiting. I know we're going to get to the Nuggets, but just before you spent $250 on these club level tickets for Sunday, I wanted to put on your radar, fairly decent chance the Nuggets are playing on Sunday.
Well, in that case, I'll leave my wife and my son because, it is his mother. I'll leave them.
Sure. Why are you buying?
I'll leave them at Coors Field, and I'll go to the basketball game.
There you go. Cheers.
Why are you buying tickets? Wait. This is a whole other thing. Yeah, why are you buying tickets? Your 2 sons are grown. They can do their own situation for mom.
Rachel, it is
I don't.
a husband.
No. They're grown. They can do it.
Rachel, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you. And let me tell you this. Father's Day is irrelevant. Father's Day is meaningless. It is all about Mother's Day. Mother's Day is more important than the birthday. Mother's Day is just it. As a husband, you got to lock down Mother's Day. You got to figure that sucker out.
Maybe when they were like younger, but now
It doesn't stop.
I'm not a mom.
It doesn't stop. And then it gets complicated because, it's a little easier for me because my mom's 2,000 miles away. I love her, but it lets me off the hook. But her mother is here in town. So there's really 2 mothers that you got to figure out. And then I got a third mother who's my real mother. But, I got to take care of that today. That's relatively easy, actually, to be honest with you.
Details. Will Peterson, do you do your own mom's gift or does your dad help you?
We actually had this conversation in my family the other day because my birthday is tomorrow. So it will be my 33rd tomorrow, which is exciting. But we're going out to a big family dinner tomorrow night. And my mom said, well, why don't we just combine birthday, Mother's Day, everything, right?
So lame.
And I said, well, yeah, sure, talk to my sister about it. And I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but I guess my sister, who has 2 young kids, was like, no. We doing separate things, and it's up to the boys. It's up to Will, me, my brother-in-law, Chris, and my dad to plan it. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, Rachel, it's sort of a combo of like, hey, the men in the family need to step up. So maybe D-Mac does need a little help from his sons because the way my mom and sister are looking at it is like my father, my brother-in-law, and I need to plan something special for the 2 moms on Sunday. Make sense?
I got you. A roundabout way for sure. Okay. Interesting.
I just wanted to let you guys know it's my birthday.
I actually like what you're saying, though. I'm not against it because you're right. My oldest son is 23 and he lives here in Denver.
Yes.
I mean, step up, son. What do you got? I mean, you gotta figure this shizzle out or not.
I just ordered my mom's Mother's Day gift for her. It'll come. We'll deliver it, and there you go. You gotta be
your dad doesn't chime in at all with how to help out for your mom.
Well, my parents are separated, so definitely not happening there.
A long time ago. Gotcha.
Well, yeah, back when we were like younger, but I have an older sister too, so it's always been like. This is bad. I've almost looked more towards my older sister of like, hey, you need to figure out what we're doing for Christmases or whatever it is. Like, should we go in on something together?
But the bigger point is, I don't mean to be mean, but your dad decided what was important with your mom, quite a few years ago. And that was to,
Sure.
Well, but hold on. Is your mom remarried?
No, neither one of them are.
Does she have a boyfriend?
No.
Okay. Well, so it is all on. So he doesn't. But hold on. Time out. They still are parents together. It still is Mother's Day. I mean.
Yes, and no offense to you, D-Mac, but they've also raised us that like you're grown adults now. You need to figure it out. He got to worry about his own mom. I got to worry about my mom. And
okay. All right.
Sometimes my sister too, so because she's obviously a mother now too. But anyway,
well, maybe I should lay back and do absolutely nothing and just see how it goes.
You should tell your boys you need to figure something out for your mom for Mother's Day. A little reminder can be great. Otherwise, it's you got your own mom to worry about, D-Mac.
You know what? I'm taking your advice. I'm going to send a text to my 2 boys. I say, hey, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. You 2 let me know what you're going to do. Dad out.
Let me know if you need any help. Happy to help. Boom.
Well, and real quick, I know we got to move on, but Rachel, what you just said, you and I now have the same dilemma because we both leaned on our older sisters in the past to be the planner. But now that our older sisters both have children of their own and you and I are childless, kind of the burden is kind of shifted to us.
Yeah. And it's like technically, I'm like, you're not my mom. So it's like, I'll send you a nice little I love you, happy Mother's Day when we can get a coffee or something. And I'm not saying money's everything, but it gets really expensive to have to buy gifts for like everyone and like all the time too. So it's an interesting thing. I'm curious how other people do it. Husbands that are in the chat, let us know if you plan Mother's Day. If your kids are above the age of 18 years old, if you plan Mother's Day gifts or if you do it all and you just write your kids' names on the card or whatever. I'm curious. So let us know in the comments. But we have to talk about tonight's game. This show always goes by way too fast, you guys. We're so lucky that, great conversation. Nuggets, game 6 tonight. Can they actually get it done? What's your confidence level, Will?
It's actually kind of high. I think that the Nuggets are just going to put the foot on the throat like they did in the third quarter, right? I talked about this with James on Denver Sports Tonight last night. The end of the second quarter in Game 5 had very sketchy vibes, right? And the baby Nuggets and the teenage Nuggets would come out in the third quarter and blown it and fall apart and lost the game and be fighting for their season. You know what happened in Game 5 in the third quarter? The adult Nuggets showed up. They have grown up before our eyes. They put that bad second quarter behind them. They outscored Phoenix 39-25, and that game was over. I think tonight the adult Nuggets are just going to take care of business. They're just going to finish them off. Phoenix won't have Chris Paul. DeAndre Ayton is questionable. Coming into this series, we said, Phoenix has 4 good players. Well, guess what? That's 2 of the 4 good players right there. Paul's been out a ton. Ayton's obviously been a massive disappointment. We knew the Durant-Booker thing was going to catch up to them at some point. It certainly did in Game 5. I don't think home court for Phoenix makes enough of a difference in Game 6. I think the Nuggets finish this off tonight.
I don't think missing Chris Paul is a big deal at all, but hearing that Ayton is bumped up is really interesting. And although he hasn't been playing great, he is a high-quality player. And Landell's been a nice sort of replacement for him, but they just haven't played their other big guys whatsoever. That's how little confidence they have in them. So, I thought for sure they would handle the Nuggets initially, just the way the series was going. Now I wonder if the Suns are sort of feeling like, listen, we've done the best we can under the circumstances. Our better year is going to be next year anyway. It always was with a full year with Durant. I think I'm like 65-35 Nuggets. But I was much more the other way, Suns, before this news came out about Ayton. So I'm feeling more, not overwhelming, not like, it's a slam dunk, it's going to be easy, not like that, but more so. Because Booker could always go for 50. Durant could always go for 45. Yeah. That always could happen.
I'm with both of you. I feel very confident in the Nuggets today, and I think it's just because we saw the adult Nuggets. They were able to figure it out. But I will just say, you guys, we've been on this roller coaster where we were like, Nuggets in 4, we don't have to worry. And then we were like, they may not even make it out of this series. Like, it's just a constant roller coaster. Would I be shocked if we have a Game 7 on Sunday? Absolutely not. I would not be. But I am feeling rather confident in the Nuggets tonight that they made the small, very minute adjustments that needed to be made, it seems like. And then if he is out or if he is just hurt in general, I think that does limit the Suns essentially and can provide a big thing for the Nuggets too. So it's going to be interesting. But does this one player have to show up? Jamal Murray. Can he afford to not shoot as well as he has? I know he's been great in other areas of the game, but does Jamal have to be able to go off shooting wise in Phoenix? Well,
no.
Okay.
If he plays exactly like he played in Game 5, we're fine. He shot about 50% from the field, 50% from 3 on a limited amount of shots. He rebounded better. He passed better. He kept things under control and played good defense. No, we do not need Jamal Murray to go off. No. He had one of his better games of the entire playoffs. More balanced, more under control, more in charge of things with some really important shots in the fourth quarter. Absolutely not. If we just get exactly what we got out of Jamal Murray, get exactly what we got out of Michael Porter Jr., get exactly what we got out of Bruce Brown, and Jokic is Jokic, you're going to be more than fine. You're going to win.
But let's be realistic too, Will. I don't mean to cut you off. Are we going to see the exact same thing out of Bruce Brown? Would love to. He has his big games for sure, but consistent back-to-back big games for Bruce Brown are far in between, at least in my opinion. Will?
Yeah, especially the home road thing. We know role players are better at home, right? And Bruce was great at home. He didn't do much in games 3 and 4. But I want to talk more about the Jamal thing because, listen, he only took 15 shots in game 5. That is the formula. D-Mac hit the nail on the head. Balance, balance, balance. Rachel, as you initially framed this question, I see what you're doing. It's a valid question. Does he need to go off? We have learned about these Nuggets throughout these playoffs. Anyone going off is not good. When Jamal goes off, it's not good. When Jokic goes off, it's not good. When Jokic is getting 29, 13, and 12 like he did the other night, an amazing stat line for Nikola Jokic. I'd take that stat line every night. And Jamal's only taking 15 shots. And MPJ's hitting 5 threes. And Aaron Gordon's in double digits. And Bruce Brown gets you 25 out of nowhere. That's how you win. You look at the Nuggets. They've played 10 games in these playoffs. About 6 of them have had balance, and about 4 have had someone go off. The 6 that have had balance have been great. The 4 that have had someone go off, they've either lost or they've won super close.
What I really like is at least try to have Michael Porter Jr. hit 3 3-pointers in the first quarter. The defense is not as suffocating. You're more in a natural rhythm as you get going, and it's easier to get him the ball earlier in the game than later in the game when things just tighten up a little bit. I love the concept of really trying to get Michael Porter Jr. going early in games for all of those reasons. And if he can hit 3 3-pointers in the first quarter, that is just such an unbelievable advantage for the Nuggets, period. Even if they lose the lead, it doesn't matter. They've been buoyed, and they can, sort of get themselves together for later on, and it doesn't make them play from behind. So the concept of getting MPJ going when it's easier to get him going, let's go for it. That's what I think.
I love this comment. If Jeff Green scores at least 6 points, they will win. Let's go, Jeff Green. What's his overall total?
If Jeff Green can hit 2 3-pointers, and I guarantee you he'll be wide open when he takes these shots, it's crippling for the other team. If the Nuggets are just better hitting, but that's why I want Vlatko to play a little bit, because I think Vlatko's better at wide open 3-pointers. That's why I want Zeke Naji to play a little bit, because I think can help out inside and rebound a little bit better, and I think he's a better 3-point shooter than Jeff Green at this point. I think you just need to rest Jeff Green for one game. I really do. I think he's just feeling a little tired. He's a little bit older. Give him a little rest, and if there is a game 7, you can just simply go back to Jeff Green. I hope Michael Malone does, change things up a little bit on the road and give them something to think about.
One thing I feel like not a lot of people have talked about is Christian Brown's confidence level. And I love that for him. And I think, honestly, it adds to the fact that a rookie sometimes can have these great moves. And even in the locker room, his confidence is just there. He has that I've been there, I've done that mentality of winning a championship. And it's as of recently. And I feel like it just adds a little bit extra to this locker room. And I just don't think a lot of people, we're talking about the amazing play he does, but strictly the confidence level that he brings has been really impressive, Will.
Yeah, I think Christian Brown is a nice enough guy off the court. I think he's an irritator, kind of a prick on the court, right? Like we've all seen the gifs of him screaming at opponents during the tournament, screaming at fans during the NCAA tournament. Like he's got the veins popping out of his neck after that dunk the other night. Like Christian Brown is an agitator. I tweeted that the night the Nuggets drafted him. He's a pest. You want guys like that on your team, the energy guys. So yeah, I think he actually seems pretty soft-spoken and like a pretty cool guy off the court. But on the court, he's got a level of intensity that's unreal, and it's great for the Nuggets. They need energy off that bench.
He never backs down.
Christian Brown's role is absolutely perfect. You don't really have to mess around with it. It's about, 8 to 12 minutes a game at this point. Fine, check, and check. Nothing else to think about it. He went through kind of a little weird period when they brought in Reggie Jackson to say, well, sit on the bench here, Christian, a little bit. But at the end of the day, he deserves to be on the court. I thought he found a better role in Game 5 than he had been for the past couple of games. So, there's nothing bad to say about Christian Brown. Listen, the only issue at all, seriously, guys, are the Jeff Green minutes. That's it. That's it. Can you do a little bit better on the road chopping up the Jeff Green minutes, or are we just going to go with Uncle Jeff again? That's it. That's the only thing to think about. Everything else, is just rinse and repeat.
Well, I can answer your question. Yes, they're going to go with Jeff Green tonight because Michael Malone loves his veterans and they're going to be out there. Brian says Jeff Green or Aaron Gordon shooting open three. Choose your poison. Will Peterson.
No, I'd take Aaron Gordon for sure. I know Gordon's had some struggles of late, but he's got a more confident stroke at this point. I mean, Jeff Green, you're just closing your eyes and hoping.
Aaron Gordon is a much better basketball player than Jeff Green, and I'll always take a much better basketball player to take a basketball shot. That being said, it sounds like I'm crapping on Jeff Green. I'm really not trying to do that. I think he's being put in a really tough situation right now, being asked to do things that are just, that aren't great for Jeff Green.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about hitting wide open threes, so, and I understand there's a defensive component to it. I just don't understand all the minutes for Jeff Green. That's all. I don't understand why it's not more like 6-7 minutes of Jeff Green, maybe 5-6 minutes for Zeke and Flacco even in the mix a little bit. I just don't, that's what I don't get. I don't understand why we're so insistent there. I even think you could get Reggie Jackson off the bench for maybe 5 or 6 minutes. I really do. And give Jamal a little bit more of a rest until you need him more in the fourth quarter. I think you could do some creative things. I think you could get Jamal and Reggie Jackson on the court at the same time so that Jamal just doesn't have to have everything on him all game. Like he doesn't have to bring the ball up or have the ball in his hands the entire game. I think there's things you can do to just get the better quality rather than quantity.
Well, we'll see. Of course, we're excited for tonight's game 6, and we'll see about tomorrow night too. I know a comment just said, do we want the Lakers in? We will discuss that tomorrow right here on Coffee Break. Both of you, thank you so much for hanging out with me for the last hour. And to everybody in the comments too, we always appreciate it. Hopefully we're talking about a Nuggets win and moving on to the conference finals. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful Thursday, and let's go Nuggets. Bye, everybody.